I'm here with Ken MacDonald from Parkbridge Marinas, and we're anxious to talk to Ken about some of the changes that have been happening in terms of Parkbridge's acquisitions in the Georgian Bay area. So Ken, tell me a little bit about Parkbridge, what happened with Wye, and where Parkbridge is going with that.
Well, thanks, Mark, for asking. We're very excited about our most recent acquisition of Wye Heritage Marina. It truly is a great facility on southern Georgian Bay, and it complements the other facilities we also have here on southern Georgian Bay. As you may be aware, we have two beautiful facilities in Penetang, Beacon Bay Marina and Bay Moorings Marina, along with Bayport Marina here in Midland Bay, and now Wye Heritage to go along with it. We also hold a beautiful little marina right in the Narrows in Aurelia called Bridgeport Marina. Many folks know it as you go through. It's a very busy fuel dock area right there in the Narrows. And we have another large facility down in Lake Scugog, Goretzky's Lakeside Recreation, which is a large park, recreational area, and a marina with 400 slips.
And I'm guessing that Parkbridge might have one of the largest marina slip portfolios in Canada right now. Would that be correct? Or?
I think we could be correct in saying that.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of marina companies north of the border that have acquired a lot of properties. South of the border, it's very common with two large companies down there, Westrek and Marinas International. So I would say that Parkbridge here north of the border would be the largest.
Mm-hmm. And also two of the largest marinas on Georgian Bay as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wye Heritage has a rich history of having a lot of slips. We're currently sitting at 785 slips here at Wye Heritage, and with our facility in Midland at Bayport, we're sitting very similar in size.
Right, and I guess Wye has capacity to expand further from that too, if you wish to.
That's correct. There's a lot of room for expansion here at Wye Heritage.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Ken, with the acquisition of Wye, will there be a different flavor to all your marinas? Like I know right now there's a slightly different flavor to the, Bay Moorings versus, some of the other marinas that you've had for years. What'll happen with Wye? Will it just kind of blend in at some level, or will it be a flagship emerge, or how's that going to work?
I don't think that the flavor of the marina, if that's what you want to call it, is going to change at all. Each marina has its own unique identity. The managers at the marina are proud of what they've created at their facilities, and they're going to remain the same. Here at Wye Heritage, we have this beautiful, beautiful parcel of property, great open water boating out in front, beautiful drive-to slips, and none of that's going to change at all. We're excited, and as a regional manager, the director of marine operations, I encourage our managers to compete with each other, to
good.
outdo themselves in customer service and quality of service we provide to our great boating public.
Ken, I know one of the neat things about Parkbridge Marinas was you could actually leave one marina and go and stay at one of the other marinas and stay overnight for a night or two. Is that going to carry on, and is Wye going to be part of that?
Absolutely, Mark. One of the great advantages of being a Parkbridge customer is you become immediately part of the Parkbridge Advantage program. And that program is continually developing as we acquire new properties. One of those advantages, as you mentioned, is reciprocal privileges. You're entitled to leave the marina that we have in Aurelia and come up to Georgian Bay and have 6 free nights at any one of our marinas.
6 free nights?
6 free nights. You can take your boat from here and go over to Penetang and spend 6 nights at both marinas. So it's an accumulation of 6, 6, and 6 all the way through. But there's many other Parkbridge Advantage is available too. We have many corporate partners. We've arranged unbelievable discounts at some of the wonderful merchants here in both Midland and Penetang Machine as with your Parkbridge Advantage card. And new this year that we're going to be offering, it's just about to be released. I don't have all the details to tell you today, but we will be offering fuel discounts. Fuel discounts that have never been heard of in the marine industry will be offered to exclusively Parkbridge Advantage customers.
Well, at any of the Parkbridge Marinas?
At any of the Parkbridge Marinas. So you can pick up fuel. The customers from Aurelia can come up here, and when they get to Georgian Bay, they will receive a discount on every liter of fuel they buy as a Parkbridge Advantage customer. There will be other benefits as well. Parkbridge Advantage guaranteed pricing. In our chandleries, every one of our marinas has a chandlery, a fully stocked store. We guarantee pricing. We will not be underbeat in pricing anywhere. If you can find it cheaper anywhere, we will match that price.
Wow, that's great. That's very competitive. So Ken, I know some of the boaters at Wye. I'm one of them that's on the worry-free package. And just out of curiosity, will those people still be able to have the worry-free boating, or kind of everything gets taken care of in one package?
Absolutely, Mark. We don't foresee any major changes at all at the Y. It's working so well now, we're going to continue that on. And the programs that work great here, we're going to introduce to our other properties. And the programs that work great at our other properties, we'll bring into the Y. There's going to be a tremendous amount of sharing of resources and sharing of ideas, and we're looking forward to learning from each other on each property.
Right. Do your managers get together in meetings and kind of do that? They kind of
We communicate on a regular basis, and not just the managers, but our staffing are all one family now, and they communicate. They work at various properties. Some of our staff from here at Y will be over working at Bayport and vice versa. So, you know, there's a lot of communication that goes on between the properties.
Now, what will that mean in terms of, by example, mechanical services? Are there some marinas that specialize in one area more than others, where they'll trade that back and forth, or?
Most definitely. We've got some wonderful, talented tradespeople, and each marina has their own specialties. For instance, we have a shipwright in Penetang that is second to none, and he's now available to us here at Wye Heritage to do woodwork, teak work, interior cabinetry, refinishing. Gel coat and fiberglass technicians we have on all properties, but some are specialists in some areas, and others are specialists in heavy laminating, others are gel coat specialists. So we're going to share those back and forth. One of the key features is we have two very qualified in-house electrical technicians that do radar, satellite dishes, bow thrusters, and we have specialists in all those fields. So we share them between the properties because we're also very close together.
Can, you know, this is a kind of a tough question, but you know, whenever there's ownership change hands, boaters worry. Is this going to be something they need to worry about in terms of where rates might be going? You know, as you acquire more and more marinas on Georgian Bay, you know, folks might be wondering, you know, what will that mean with rates? Will their docking rates be going up?
What a great question. It's not that I haven't heard it before, and I do have the answer. Mark, we're in a very competitive marketplace. We're not the only ones on Georgian Bay. There's lots of other marinas, and in this day and age, every boater knows there's some vacancy out there at most marinas. So no, prices are not going up. Our prices are all set for 2012, and as I've mentioned earlier, I encourage our marinas to compete with each other in-house. So boaters' rates will come down. As a matter of fact, when I say come down, what I'm meaning there is that we have a big inventory of slips, so there's some savings involved as being a Parkbridge Advantage customer. Even on the inside storage rates that we have a lot of heated indoor storage, and we've acquired more. And we're going to see a reduction from the 2011 rates and 2012 rates as we head into next year.
So this is kind of a win-win situation then for boaters to have.
I believe it is for everybody involved.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to offer that complete package, one-stop shopping, and we're going to be watching the market prices very closely and try to be very competitive.
Now, can I understand what used to be the old RCA factory? That's a big indoor heated facility, and I know a lot of the Y boats and boats from other places on Georgian Bay would come there to be stored there. I understand that's continuing on.
Absolutely, and in fact, we're increasing the capacity. We have acquired a larger piece of the floor space in that building, and we're looking forward to encouraging a lot more boaters to come in. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to take a hard look and do some aggressive pricing on indoor heated storage. And I think some of the boats that are currently outside and are wrapped, either shrink wrap or tarped, will give them the opportunity to come in and store into that beautiful, clean, heated facility.
That must be one of the largest indoor heated facilities on the bay, including anything on Lake Huron, is it not?
Oh, I'm sure it's probably, without a doubt, the largest. It's 300 and some odd thousand square feet of heated indoor floor space. I would be pretty comfortable in saying it's probably the largest heated indoor boat warehouse anywhere on the Great Lakes.
Wow. And I guess that will, you know, really gives you the potential that you could be drawing in boats from perhaps even the American side. Would that happen?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to being able to accommodate all of the boats at our Parkbridge Marina, because we've always been very limited with our ability for indoor storage. That problem has gone away now with the industrial warehouse up on the river that we have. And of course, what a great venue. We can bring them in there by truck and trailer, and we can bring them up the river and haul them with the travel lift right at the warehouse. It's absolutely terrific.
So Ken, Boating Georgian Bay travels around to most of the boat shows like Annapolis, Miami, Lauderdale, Toronto Boat Show, of course. And one of the things that we've noticed just this past year is, especially on the new boat side, Miami, by example, there was lines of boats that were sold. And even though the traffic maybe was a little bit lighter there, in terms of, the normal buzz, the buyers seem to be there and the buyers are back picking up boats. Are you seeing that kind of come across now in Canada, and are you optimistic about the marina business in general in 2012? What are you feeling about that?
Mark, absolutely. Can't agree more with you. We've just come out of the Toronto Boat Show, back a few months ago, and we were very pleased with the results of the Toronto show. We met a lot of our existing customers, met a lot of new customers. We saw some of the big boat retailers selling new product that haven't sold in the last few years. So I think everybody came out of the show pretty optimistic with what the season's going to bring upon it. Definitely we saw attendance up. I think the most encouraging thing that we saw was a lot of young families that are entering boating, and they realize that boating is a great way to get out on the water, and it's not that expensive of a summer hobby. And we saw a lot of young families, and we can contribute that possibly to some of the great advertising that's taking place with Discover Boating, and understanding what the real costs are. And it's not that expensive to get out on the water with your family every weekend. And so we're encouraged about what this year's going to bring.
Good. And Ken, maybe tell me a little bit about, you've got some partners, I guess, in some of your operations. By example, you have Skyline in one facility, and
Absolutely. When we're in the marina business, we offer a full gamut of services, parts and accessories, full service departments, fuel dock departments, and of course the rental business. But the one thing we're not in is the boat sales business. Mm-hmm. We leave that up to the experts. And here at Wye Heritage, we have the folks from BoatMax that are retailing both brokerage and new boats here out of Wye Heritage. At Bayport Marina and at Bridgeport Marina in Aurelia, the fine folks at Skyline Marina are the Sea Ray dealer, and they look after all of the new boat sales and brokerage. And at Beacon Bay Marina and Bay Moorings Marina in Penetang, we have the great folks from Crates Lake Country Boats, who are the largest Regal dealer, and they look after brokerage and new boat sales. Mm-hmm. All of those companies are encouraged by the increased sales this year and how the economy's turning around a little bit. And I think we can call it cautiously optimistic, but we're looking for a great season, as they are too, I'm sure.
Good. And what's your read on, by example, do you think gas prices are going to impact things at all this year? Fuel prices? I know you're doing everything you can to kind of keep fuel prices down, in your series of marinas. Do you think that'll have a big impact on the amount of travel, or?
Well, most definitely. Everybody has to take a look at what their costs are every weekend. But quite literally, we've had these high fuel prices before, and it's had really no effect on our business. People may not take that 100-mile trip up the shore on a holiday weekend. They may stay a little closer to home, but they still use their boat every weekend, and they always plan their 2 or 3 week vacation up to the top end of the bay. I don't think it's going to have, fuel prices are not the big expense, and I don't think it's going to be that much of a concern.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, although there's a lot of talk about it, on the docks you really don't see that. I mean, people are up there, and as you say, they're probably staying a little closer to home if they're in Anchorage or something like that, and maybe they take one big trip a summer rather than taking several, that type of thing.
People think you're out there boating all the time, but the whole idea of boating on southern Georgian Bay, you're in amongst the 30,000 islands. You leave the marina, you go 15 miles north, you throw an anchor, and you're there for the weekend. You put your feet up, you get a good book, you play around in your inflatable boat. So you're really not traveling 8 hours a day. You're traveling for an hour or 2 hours to get up there on Friday night or Saturday morning, and you come back on Sunday night, or if a holiday weekend, a Monday night. So you're really not burning a lot of fuel. It's destination boating, and it's in amongst the 30,000 islands, which truly is the best boating anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Ken. I mean, I know Cruising World, I've read mentions Georgian Bay is recognized as one of the top 10 cruising destinations in the world. I personally have cruised down to the Chesapeake and down into the Caribbean, the Abacos, and really, to be honest, there's nothing like Georgian Bay. And as you said, I mean, right here in Midland, many of your marinas are kind of in the Midland Penetang area, and in 45 minutes to an hour, you can be out in just unbelievably beautiful sheltered anchorages.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. There's unbelievable anchorages. You can boat all summer long here and never go to the same place twice. Great destinations. And the nice part about it, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours north of a metropolitan area. So you can leave your office or leave your home on Friday afternoon, Friday evening, and get up to the boat. And it's just a short drive north of Toronto, Hamilton, Kitchener, Waterloo, and you're into the best boating in the world.
Fantastic. So Ken, this is not a trick question, but it's one that I hear all the time. I mean, Parkbridge is kind of acquired so much. Is there plans for more in the works? Can we expect to have something in the north perhaps that we can travel back and forth to at some point? Or?
You know, it changes all the time. Mark, we're always looking for good properties. All I can tell you at this point is that I have a very, very strong mandate from our board of directors to continue to grow our marina portfolio with great properties like we have already acquired here on southern Georgian Bay and in Aurelia.
So Ken, Boating Georgian Bay is a sponsor of the American Great Loop Cruising Association, and I know Parkbridge is involved in that as well. And many of our viewers are loopers, as we call them, that are doing the American Great Loop from Florida right up, through the Great Lakes, up around Georgian Bay and back down Mississippi, back down to the Gulf. And I wonder, for those who may be watching that have never been to Georgian Bay, maybe give them a taste of what they can expect, because we often hear of some loopers have done the loop several times, and we often hear that most of them would agree that Georgian Bay is the prettiest place along the way to.
We've had the opportunity over the years. We first got introduced to the loopers through Beacon Bay Marina, our acquisition there. Bob and Karen Jantz, who were the former owners of Beacon Bay, were loopers, and they were speakers on the tour on a regular basis, and they had did the loop and completed it. So we got introduced, and I thought, what a great organization. I had the opportunity to go down in the fall with my wife and meet the loopers and do some speaking at Joe Wheeler State Park in Alabama. Also had the opportunity to go down to Charleston, South Carolina, and be a speaker in their spring rendezvous. Great organization, and for many years now we've hosted them when they come to Georgian Bay in seminars and talk to them about Georgian Bay and help them out in any way they can, give them some direction. Many of them clearly state that in their entire travels, and I think it's probably 5,000 or 6,000 nautical miles, that the highlight of their trip is without a doubt Georgian Bay. And as I speak right now, there's probably a half a dozen loopers that were here last summer that decided that they don't need to do this loop in 1 year, and they've winter stored their boat with us, and they're up here leaving their American boat in the winter here so they get a full summer in Georgian Bay next season. And it's a special highlight of their trip, and it's wonderful to see them, the expressions on their face when we take them up in amongst the 30,000 islands and anchor them up in Port Rawson, which is a secluded bay with warm water they can swim in, clean water, and just spectacular boating.
Yes, and I know there's one boat from Brazil that wintered over in Penetang this past winter, and for all of our loopers out there that are watching this, I strongly encourage you to come for more than one season, because it really does take a couple summers, as you alluded to earlier. You could stay in a different anchorage for the rest of your life in Georgian Bay and never see the same one twice if you wanted to, and you really need to some of the loopers are coming up and kind of skipping through in a couple of weeks, and they're realizing after the fact that, gee, they wish they had kind of been able to stay for the summer and leave their boat over and come back and do it again, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's back a couple of years ago, one of our customers came up. He was from Nashville. Actually, he had a Power Cat, and he came up and he said, Ken, I really want to see Georgian Bay. And we hired a captain and put it on board his boat, and 4 or 5 of them went together and took their time and went into all the little bays that you normally wouldn't go into. And they still write about it, and I still get Christmas cards and how they were just enjoyed Georgian Bay so much. And we try to discourage the boaters that come out of the Trent Severn waterway and come into Georgian Bay, come over and visit with us in Midland or Penetang, and then they decide to run straight up the center of the bay to 100 miles to Killarney, and we say, you just can't miss the 30,000 islands. and some of them are intimidated and concerned about low waters. Well, the water levels are up and down, but the inside channel going up to 30,000 Islands is fully deep water. If you've made it through the Trent Canal system and the Trent Severn Waterway, Georgian Bay is a piece of cake, and it truly is great. There's destinations and great communities where, like Perry Sound, for instance, the shops uptown, the theater in Perry Sound, the Bobby Orr Hall of Fame. These are areas that you don't want to miss. Henry's famous fish restaurant, one of the most famous restaurants, boat-only access here on Georgian Bay. It's nothing to pull into Henry's restaurant and see some movie stars in there. And
Eating fresh pickerel, right?
Eating fresh pickerel right out of Georgian Bay. So many of the communities on Georgian Bay are designed and built for boaters. I call them boater-friendly towns, like the town of Little Current. You wake up in the morning after tying to the town dock and you can smell the fresh bakery, through your window. Killarney, what other town has a grocery store, a liquor store, a post office, and everything that has a dock in front of it that you can tie your boat up to? It's wonderful. And we encourage our American friends to come up and enjoy themselves with us, and we're here to show them wonderful Canadian hospitality.
Fantastic. One of the things that we often hear, on loopers is they're afraid of the rocks, and we always, I'm sure you say exactly the same thing. I mean, there's, if you've made the side trip to the Bahamas, or if you've gone into some of the channels off the Chesapeake, or as you said, come up the Trent, really you're not going to have a problem on Georgian Bay. You just keep an eye on your charts, and it's important that you do get off the beaten path out of just the main channels, and because that's the beauty of the whole area, is gunk-holing around, and just take your time and soak it all in, and really have a great trip.
Oh, absolutely. And it's to say, when you come out of the Trent Severn Waterway, come over and join one of our marinas. Any one of our stores is happy to sit there and have a cup of coffee with you and mark your charts, show you some great anchorages, show you places that you just have to see, must see, up around Bone Island, up around Sans Souci, Point of Barrel, Perry Sound, Kilcorsi Bay, all of those places. So we call it Dock Talk, or have a coffee in the morning around a picnic table and mark some charts, and if folks want it, we can organize a guided tour as well up the bay.
Fantastic. And Ken, also important for our viewers, there's a lot of history around the bay. So the boating aspect is fabulous, but I guess the other important thing is that there's just a very, very rich history for the whole area that goes right back to the Aboriginals, forward War of 1812, and forward right to this day. The logging industry and the industrial barons that came to the area, and it's just in my travels I've never quite seen anything like it in terms of the amount of rich history that the bay has to offer.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Here we're encouraging our American friends to come up and enjoy Georgian Bay, and we're showing them a route from the south end of the bay to the north, but in fact Champlain discovered this area and introduced Christianity to the area, to the Aboriginals, and he came from the north end. He came up through and through the French River and came south to discover Midland and Penetanguishene and this area.
That's right. We have the beautiful Martyrs Shrine right here in Midland as well.
Oh yeah, Saint Marie among the Hurons, Martyrs Shrine, a couple of museums both in Penetang and also in Midland. Rich in history, and it's a great destination.
Well, Ken, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a busy man, and I really appreciate your time.
Appreciate your interest in our Parkbridge Marinas.
Thank you.
Thank you.